Alright everybody, got a new video coming at you today, a topical one I think, given the current situation that we're dealing with in the world right now in regards to coronavirus, its spread, quarantines, social distancing, and generally people's concern about exposure and minimizing risk, which has been represented quite differently in just even the population I'm exposed to. So as is normal with blogs, I'll touch base on what I'm doing with my training. So I've had to adapt to, just finished the maintenance phase, which was like a strength block. My first strength block actually, well, not a block, it was a phase, because it was only 4 weeks, I guess you could say in isolation as a block, but it was only 4 weeks, which came at the end of a 12-week growth phase. Scheduled to do a mini cut, as was my plan for the year, but because we're going to Bali, we're going to Bali, I was like, hey, let's do a maintenance phase as a sort of primer phase, a la Steve Hall, Skepis, and presumably Israel. And then I'll do a cut leading into that. Now, as I'd done the maintenance phase, and then I basically started the cut this week, as everything sort of came into effect with coronavirus and its repercussions, I've basically decided, fuck it, I'll just do a cut, whether it's only a 4 to 8 weeks, because I doubt we'll be going to Bali now, given the financial constraints on the fact that I'm a small business owner and things are just such in flux right now, and obviously the situation regarding travel. We were going in August, but I don't foresee this issue being resolved anytime soon. So I guess that's off the table. So I'll do maybe a full cut, but I am mindful of the fact that I actually do want to spend most of this time growing and gaining. So maybe I'll make it an 8-week cut or something, and then get back to growing with a maintenance phase, another strength block maybe, and then another growth phase, maybe of a slower period and extended time. Calories are about 2.7, I'm ingesting about 2.7 to 8, but with activity, I've been doing a little bit of cardio just for increasing my health and fitness, and I've been eating around 2.4, 2.5 after activity. So lost a kilo already. But I imagine that's a little bit of water and stuff like that. But I'll definitely be not wanting to lose more than that. And probably as we get into it, wanting to slow that rate of loss a little bit. So what's the topic for today? The topic for today is basically adaptation to the current environment and how we can still keep going, still keep exercising, and as trainers, so I'll talk about this in terms of as a coach, trainer, and as a exercise-e. So basically, probably most PTs and PT businesses are experiencing a Logan, probably experiencing drops of about 50% in their business roughly now, I would say, with more to come. So that means people are avoiding gyms. And it should be said at this point, I don't necessarily like to iterate this point because I don't like to minimize people's fears, because they obviously are concerned for their family members and stuff like that. But it is noted that Australia's health minister at this point has said gyms are safe places to be if you practice the recommendations of social distancing and proper hygiene. Which is being manifested. I operate across 2 different clubs, and it's being manifested very differently in both clubs. But the average trainee and trainer is very conscious of wiping equipment down, spraying, minimizing contact, and keeping their distance and stuff like that. So I forgot my point, but I'll just go back to, so people aren't training in the gym as much. So what does that mean? It means that as PTs, we have to be adaptable. We have to start offering mobile PT services, going to locations suitable to you and your client. And it also means for the PT client that they will be training from home or a park with their PT. So how do we do this? So what I've instituted is essentially I will be putting clients amenable to the idea into a boot camp class, and the other ones I'll be visiting at locations near them to do boot camp style metabolic high rep stuff, short rest, high rep stuff. So that's something that should be and can still be an option for the trainee as well. Looking for those, like if your PT isn't offering those services, or looking for PTs that will be or are offering those services, can help you keep fit and active during this time where essentially social distancing is in place. Now, group classes can be something where you have several stations with cleaning equipment potentially at all of those stations, and the stations being several meters apart, and having time after, say, a work set to wipe down equipment, move on to the next, things like that. So going to the park, doing workouts at home, so like things like, I mean, this is assuming you don't have a coach or trainer, things like body weight exercises. I mean, we all have minimal equipment at home, I think, roughly, like you're going to have a set of dumbbells around, you might have a treadmill, a bike, and all those kind of things, and basically it's just the energy in, energy out equation, right? So we're just looking for you to, if you were doing 2 or 3 sessions in the gym, whether a PT or without, to look at if your PT isn't offering those services outside of the gym to accommodate, to continue that habit, to continue getting your 2 or 3 sessions in, maybe your walks at night, at home. Now, the style of training is like my style of training is obviously going to change because I use like a strength-based approach, and I mean, I think the heaviest kettlebell I have is 28 kilos, not nothing. And I have like ones with 20, 24 and stuff like that. But like obviously things are going to change, but that's not, we adapt, right? So obviously if you're doing a strength program before, you'd probably be doing some kind of metabolic phase now at home with whatever equipment you have. But generally I would make sure to do sort of still your 3 to 5 workouts per week, ranging from the 30 to an hour long mark. Probably if you're doing a home workout, which will be slightly more intense, probably looking for the 30 to 45 minute body weight circuit, escalating density training type training. Just a side note, that is essentially picking 2 opposite exercises, so like a squat and a row or a deadlift and a push, and doing roughly a weight that you can do for 10 reps, for 5 reps for a timed period. So you might do a kettlebell goblet squat and a dumbbell 1-arm row or something, and pick a weight that you can do for 10 reps and do alternating sets of 5 non-stop for 10, 15, 20 minutes, depending on your fitness level, capabilities and stuff like that. Those are options for things you can start to do at home that you can do with limited equipment. I mean, if you don't have any equipment, you can do a bodyweight lunge and a push-up. And I tell you, as somebody who is reasonably strong and can lunge reasonable amounts of weight, that would smoke me, and would be more than enough to maintain, build, promote muscle mass, including, if your diet is supportive of those behaviors. So that's something you can look at. Something else to think about in these troubling times is the benefit of coaching. Now, I know this might sound like a self-serving message, but it's not just for me, it's for all the personal trainers that are out there who are taking 50% minimum cuts to their business in some cases, sometimes more, and have sometimes several $1,000s in outgoings per week, be it gym rent, tax, super, all those kind of things. So my clients have been very supportive. They are using their lights to determine what they feel is appropriate action in terms of their behavior of coming to the gym or not, but many have been very supportive in continuing services outside of the gym, and I'm trying to meet that message by meeting them where they are or where they can be. But it's important to keep in mind that they're not doing this out of the kindness of their hearts. They're doing it also, they may also be doing it out of the kindness of their hearts, but they're also doing it because they recognize that the benefits of coaching and having that support. So things like the check-ins. With Friday check-ins, we track weight, we track steps, we track completion of the programs, and some of my clients who are going mobile, I am still doing body weight home programs for them to continue some kind of progression and overlook that. But it's important to keep in mind right now that your trainers do need your support, and also they will in turn support you by making sure that you get the highest level of service in this pre-Mad Max world that we're living in. So keeping those sessions going and keeping that accountability going with your diet. Obviously the supermarkets are heavily affected right now, so it's going to require all of us to be a little versatile and and flexible in the foods that we eat, coming up with new foods, making sure we have foods for our family, our friends, loved ones, and that we're still eating our nutritious proteins and carbs and fats and water. And, this may require changes in meals and things like that, but that's sometimes, like the benefit of these kind of situations, right? Like, it's like having an injury in the gym. Sometimes a back injury or a knee injury can force us to change and alter our programs in ways that we hadn't thought of to do before, and creates new responses. So in that, it's important to think about new meals that you can cook, new sources of proteins, carbs, things that you might not have otherwise seen. But going back to the main point, it is important to remember that your coach will be able to help you through this versatile time in keeping you accountable to your goals. Now, just because you're working from home, that's an actually important point. Because many of you will be working from home, your steps will be decreased, your output will be decreased. So now more than ever is the time to find that 30, right? To find that time during the day. I'm sorry, Logan has apparently decided that he is the most important thing. Now is the time to keep that activity level up and to find ways to do that. And I mentioned a few here today. That's sort of the main thrust of what I wanted to get into today, because we don't know how long this situation is going to go for. I mean, we're all sort of working like day by day with the information that we do have. So it's important to find new routines as quick as possible and to make sure that we're not being because the brain only has so many processing powers for all. I mean, we're all feeling increased stress, concern. I can feel myself, like my CNS is running hot. I'm constantly irritable. I'm constantly stressed. I'm constantly jazzed up. But getting back to new norms, like I said, in this pre-Mad Max universe we're living in, will help settle that central nervous system. So that's fine. Take a week, take 2 weeks, disrupt, find those new norms, find the new schedule for working in and out of work, from working from home, from working from work, but lock down that training schedule, that new diet schedule. The shops obviously don't have much, so you're going to have to look for new ways to get your meals in. It's not I don't like the word excuse. I feel like there's a lot of negative connotations to it, but it's not an excuse or a reason at this point to back off on the things that we wanted to achieve. There's still plenty of opportunity to do them and plenty of support out there, myself included, for you and you for me, I'm sure, to achieve the things that we want to do. So in signing off, take care of each other, support each other, and that's with local business, local butchers, local clothes shops, local bookshops, local anything, cafes, the service industry. I don't know how that's going to... I know they're being told to service less people, but there are going to be people in debt, going out of business, and then with the upcoming, whatever the result of this financial situation will be, there's going to be a lot of people in real trouble. So we need to support each other, we need to be sensitive to each other's stress levels and everything like that, and we need to be a community right now. And thanks for listening to my TED Talk. So that's really all I wanted to cover today. Be safe out there, kids. Keep active. Keep looking after yourselves. Look after your loved ones. Look after each other. And I'll chat to you next time.